Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maharab Hassan Nurnabi, and today, me and my team are presenting on effective communication in a global environment. We are using a real recent Australian case study to explore it, which is the case study of Optus data breach. I'm here with three other presenters, namely Ibrahim, Tasin, and Maitri. Here is how we will structure the next 10 minutes of presentation. We'll start with some background on Optus and what actually happened in the breach. Then we will walk through three major communication challenges the breach exposed. Crisis communication to a diverse customer base, maintaining stakeholder trust, and coordinating communication across a global parent company. We will finish with some practical recommendations and a short conclusion. So, to put things into context, Optus is Australia's second largest telecommunication provider, covering around 31% of the mobile market. It's wholly owned by Singtel, a telecommunication group based in Singapore, and that ownership structure matters as we will come back to later. In September 2022, Optus suffered a major cyber attack. Personal data belonging to up to 9.7 million current and former customers was exposed, including names, date of birth, addresses, and identity document numbers like passport, driver's license, and Medicare cards. That's not just an inconvenience, it's exactly the kind of data used to commit identity theft. So, while this started as a technical failure, what happened next turned into a full blown communication crisis. That's what we are going to unpack.
Thank you, Mehrab. In this slide, I'm going to talk about this. Major challenges we identified is crisis communication to a cultural device customer base and how Optus really struggled with these three. And the first one I'm going to talk about is delay disclosure. Like Optus announced on 22nd September 2022 that they had a cyber breach, but how they did it, it was basically vague because it was just general cyber breach, but some of the customers' data were really exposed, and we came on to learn later that some of the customers' passport numbers emerged only in after some days. And the second one we are going to talk about is English only messaging. Like generic media statements gave no multilingual or accessible outreach for non-English speaking customers. Optus really serve as one of the most linguistically diverse customer base in the country. And the third one I'm going to talk about is piecemeal information. Many affected customers learned that the information, like the what was going on through the news rather than from Optus, and that may cause like distrust between Optus and their customers. Optus should really work on like giving customers on what is going on, and they're going to fix it, or like what's happening. That may cause trust between the customers and the Optus. But how it's going on right now is just like distrust. Like if like there is no trust and how they did it. And this last slide, I'm going to talk about why it matters. Diversity demands more than one message. Effective cross-cultural crisis communication requires messaging that is timely, plain in language, and delivered through channels accessible to non-English speaking and vulnerable customers, not a single central issue statement. Finally, consistent with Leo and Baba, we come to know that timely, transparent disclosure reduces the reputational and financial damage of a breach. Delay and poor communication only compound customer distress, like the way we said before. Like an Opta should update their customers on what's going on, but if they don't talk or communicate with the customers, like they will be distrusting both. So I will pass to the next person.
Thanks, Ibrahim. The second challenge is maintaining stakeholder trust. And it's important to remember that Optus wasn't just talking to one audience here. There were customers whose language proficiency, digital access, and risk exposure varied enormously. Some were far more vulnerable to identify theft than others. There were regulators and media who demanded accountability and full, transparent disclosure. And there was the broader Australian community whose general trust in large institutions to protect personal data was shaken by the whole episode. Optus's actual response was a formulaic public apology, plus a subscription to a credit monitoring service for affected customers. On the surface, that sounds reasonable, but it treated every customer the same way. In reality, financially vulnerable customers and those with limited English proficiency faced significant risks and ended far more tailored, hands on support to actually act on the warning. For example, help understanding what to do or how to replace a compromised ID document. Trust is genuinely foundational to the relationship between a corporation and the community it serves. And restoring that trust after a breach requires communication that's tailored to each stakeholder group's specific circumstances, not a single, undifferentiated response sent out to everyone at once.
Thank you. Our third challenge focuses on something different, the structural relationship between Optus and its parent company. Optus is the local Australian facing secondary. Its need to respond quickly to Australian customer, media, and regulator. But it answers to Singtel, its parent company in Singapore, with its global strategy, applies legal caution, and runs its own approval process. That relationship creates real coordination tension during a crisis. Local urgency on one side and global process on the other side. On the second, I'm going to talk about why it matters. Optus took longer to give public clear details because they had to coordinate with the overseas parent company and be careful about the legal sides of the investigation. This kind of delay isn't unusual. Big global companies often face the same problem. Local teams must balance what the head office wants, legal risk and local public's expectation for quick, open communication. Research shows that the best global organizations avoid those delays by creating crisis communication rules before anything goes wrong. Those rules give local team power to respond fast while still following a plan approved by head office. This means they don't have to wait for permission during the crisis itself. So, pulling this together, what should global organizations actually do differently? We had highlighted three things. First one, plan ahead. Pre-agri crisis protocols so local teams can respond within hours, not weeks. Second, communicate in inclusive manner by providing plain language, updates multiple language information, and using channels that are generally accessible to all stakeholders. Additionally, tel- tailor stakeholder and communication with support to specific needs of each stakeholder group. Response should reflect the actual level of risk facing by each group rather than relying on a single generic message for everyone. To conclude, the Optus data breach shows that the technical problem can become much worse when communication is poor. Across all three channels, a same message appears in diverse global market. One message for everyone doesn't work. Good communication means paying attention to culture, language differences, giving different groups the information they actually need, and having clear rules that let local team respond quickly while still staying in line with the global organization. Thank you. That's our presentation. We are happy to take any question.